What if the garden you think you don't have room for is sitting right there on your patio, disguised as empty air? You look at a small balcony, a narrow side yard, one sunny corner. You think, not enough space, not enough soil, not enough room to grow anything worth eating. You're wrong. And it's costing you dozens of pounds of food every season. Here's the truth nobody tells beginners. The ground was never the limit. The air above your containers is free, unused, wasted, until you grow into it instead of across it. At the Greenhaven farm, we've tested this over and over. Same pattern every time. The biggest harvests don't come from the most land. They come from gardeners who figured out one thing. A single pot, grown vertically, can outperform an entire raised bed. Today, 20 vegetables that don't just tolerate vertical growing. They explode with it. One starts producing in under a month. Another turns a single container into a fruit-covered curtain by midsummer. And number one does something with space so efficient, most gardeners never even try it. Stick around. By the end of this list, you'll never look at empty air the same way again. Before we dive in, here's how this works. Every plant on this list does one thing, produces more food per square foot when it grows up instead of out. Some picks are obvious, others will surprise you, especially the ones you'd swear need wide open ground. We're counting down from 20 to 1. Pay attention near the end. The final few plants don't just save space, they quietly double, even triple, what a flat container garden could ever produce. Remember just one plant by the time we hit number 1, and it could change how you plant next season. Grab a pen. Some of these depths, spacing tips, and support setups are specific enough to save you from the mistakes most beginners make in year 1. Let's begin. Number 20. Number 20. Pole beans. Here's a myth costing you pounds of harvest every year. That bush beans and pole beans produce the same amount, just in different shapes. Wrong. Side-by-side comparisons show pole beans consistently outproduce bush varieties per square foot because they keep flowering and setting new pods for months instead of dumping one big harvest and quitting. The fix: give pole beans a trellis, a string line, even a repurposed tomato cage. They'll climb 6 to 8 feet, turning a single 12-inch pocket into a wall of continuous pods. Sow seeds directly, about 2.5 centimeters deep, once soil warms. Install the support before the vines need it, not after they've already flopped. The payoff: a plant producing from midsummer to frost, from a footprint smaller than a dinner plate. Number 19. Malabar spinach. Most people think spinach is strictly cool season, ground-hugging. Malabar spinach breaks that rule. It's a heat-loving climbing vine, thick, glossy leaves, tastes like spinach, but keeps producing through the hottest weeks of summer, when true spinach has already bolted and turned bitter. Give it a trellis up top, a pocket 20 centimeters deep, and rich, consistently moist soil. Once established, the vine climbs several meters. One plant can cover an entire tower side in edible leaves. The result? Fresh greens, exactly when everything else has quit from the heat. Number 18. Compact vertical zucchini. Zucchini has a reputation as a space hog, sprawling in every direction. Compact and semi-vining varieties change that, trained upright on a sturdy stake or trellis instead of left to sprawl. Plant one per large upper compartment, soil equivalent to a 5-gallon container. Tie the main stem loosely as it grows. Give it the top position. Those big leaves will shade everything below. The payoff: fruit every single day at peak season, without swallowing the rest of your garden. Number 17. Mini melons. Melons feel like the last vegetable anyone would grow in a small container. That's exactly why most gardeners never try. Dwarf and mini melon varieties were bred to solve this. Full-flavored fruit on compact, trellis-friendly vines. Use a sturdy support system and fabric or netting slings to hold the fruit. The vine alone can't bear the weight. Give it your largest compartment, rich soil, consistent watering. The reward: genuinely sweet, ripe melon from a container garden most people assumed could only grow leafy greens. Number 16. Sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are usually grown as sprawling ground cover. Most gardeners assume they need a huge bed to produce anything. Trellised vines prove otherwise. Vertical space supports the same sprawling growth that would normally spread across several square meters. The plant slips in a deep pocket, 25 to 30 centimeters, and trains the vines upward. The foliage is fully edible along the way. Harvest greens long before the tubers are ready underground. The result? 2 harvests in one. Leafy greens all season. A hidden crop of tubers waiting below. Quick pause. Here's something most container gardeners get backwards. They assume the plants needing the most room are the worst fit for small spaces. Reality: some of the highest yielding vertical crops are the ones everyone else overlooks for exactly that reason. Let's keep counting. Number 15. Cucamelons. Most people have never heard of this one. That's exactly why it's slept on. Cucamelons look like tiny watermelons the size of a grape, taste like cucumber with a hint of citrus, climb like a vine that refuses to stop. Give it a trellis up top, loose, well-draining soil about 20 centimeters deep, and let the tendrils work. One plant can produce hundreds of fruits a season, all hanging clean off the vine instead of sprawling across the ground. The payoff: a non-stop harvest of a fruit your neighbors have never even tasted. Number 14. Snap peas, climbing type. Most gardeners assume all peas are the same, so they grab whichever seed packet is cheapest. Climbing snap peas, left to full height, keep producing pods weeks longer than compact cousins, simply because they have more vine length to keep flowering along. Install the trellis from day one. Peas hate being lifted after they've flopped. A pocket 20 to 30 centimeters deep up top gives roots enough room, while vines climb freely above. The reward: a longer, heavier harvest window than a plant this small at the base has any right to give you. Number 13. Vertical winter squash, dwarf varieties. Winter squash has a reputation for needing an entire garden bed. Dwarf vertical varieties dismantle that. Full-size squash on vines trained straight up a reinforced trellis. The fruit gets heavy, so this one needs slings. Fabric netting works well, tied to the support so the vine doesn't snap. Give it your deepest, largest compartment and rich, well-fed soil. The payoff: a genuinely substantial, storable harvest from a plant almost nobody thinks to grow in a container at all. Number 12. Vining nasturtiums, edible. This one surprises people. Usually grown for flowers, not food. But nasturtium leaves, flowers, and seed pods are all edible, peppery, fast-growing. Vining varieties happily climb a trellis instead of sprawling. Plant in a shallow pocket. 15 centimeters is plenty, and let it climb. It asks for almost nothing. Poor soil actually produces better flavor and more flowers than rich, fertilized soil. The result? A plant that fills tower gaps with color, edible flowers, and a peppery leaf harvest, using almost no resources to do it. Number 11. Indeterminate cherry tomatoes. Most people assume any tomato plant needs a massive cage and a huge footprint. Indeterminate cherry tomatoes flip that when trained vertically on a single strong stake or string. They keep growing upward, producing new fruit clusters continuously instead of stopping at one flush. Give it your largest compartment, soil equivalent to at least a 5-gallon container, and prune away suckers to focus growth on one main vertical stem. The payoff: ripe tomatoes continuously from midsummer until frost, all on a footprint smaller than a bucket. Number 10. Baby beets. One beet seed doesn't produce one plant. It's actually a small cluster. 2 or 3 seedlings can emerge from a single point. That's why a beet pocket can look lush and green while producing 0 roots underneath. The plants are just competing for the same tiny space. Give baby beets a pocket 15 to 20 centimeters deep in the middle or lower levels, where moisture stays even. Thin ruthlessly at about 5 centimeters, keep only 1 or 2 per pocket, and eat the thinnings as baby greens so nothing's wasted. The payoff: uniform, colorful roots in as little as 45 to 60 days, plus a bonus early harvest of tender greens. Number 9. Spinach. Here's the myth. Spinach fails because of bad seed. It doesn't. Spinach fails because the soil's too warm. It's a cool season crop. When soil temperature climbs, the seed sits dormant for weeks or never sprouts at all. The fix: pre-chill your seeds. Damp paper towel, refrigerator, a few days until a root tip appears. Then sow directly into a pocket, 12 to 15 centimeters deep, on a side of the tower that only catches morning sun. The reward? a plant that grows upright instead of sprawling, giving you 2 harvests, an early cut and a smaller second flush before it bolts. Number 8. Radishes. Other crops take months. Radishes go from seed to harvest in under a month, one of the smartest space-saving tools on this entire list. Sow them into a pocket earmarked for a slower summer crop like basil or peppers. By the time that plant's ready to go in, the radishes are already harvested. Round varieties need only 12 to 15 centimeters of depth. 4 to 6 seeds per pocket, sown directly, never transplanted. The payoff: a rotating, self-refreshing pocket that produces a full crop before your slower plants even need the space. Number 7. Dwarf kale. Most people think you have to pull an entire plant to get a harvest. Kale proves that wrong. Protect the growing center, and it keeps replacing the outer leaves you remove for months on end. Give it a pocket 20 to 25 centimeters wide and deep, up top, where leaves spread without shading anything below. When harvesting, cut outer leaves close to the stem. Never touch the central growing point. The result: a plant that behaves less like a one-time harvest and more like a renewable leaf machine. Number 6. Leaf lettuce. Head lettuce forces you to commit an entire pocket to one plant and wait for one all-or-nothing harvest. Leaf lettuce refuses to play by that rule. Cut individual outer leaves. Harvest baby greens. Or cut the whole cluster and let it regrow a smaller second flush. A pocket just 12 to 15 centimeters deep is enough. Morning sun, afternoon shade, keeps leaves tender. The payoff: a plant that adapts to however you want to harvest it, instead of dictating one rigid outcome. Number 5. Swiss chard. Some vegetables only give you food. Swiss chard gives you a living centerpiece. Stalks in white, yellow, orange, pink, deep red, turning a tower planter ornamental before the first harvest even happens. But don't mistake it for just a pretty plant. Chard regenerates continuously from its center. Remove outer leaves correctly, and it keeps producing for months. Give it a pocket 20 to 25 centimeters deep up top. Its broad canopy will shade anything smaller planted beneath. The payoff: double duty. A long, renewable harvest, and a splash of color that makes the whole container garden look intentional and alive. Number 4. Dwarf sugar snap peas. Here's what most gardeners miss. Soil in a container is limited. The air above it is basically unlimited. Dwarf sugar snap peas are built to exploit exactly that. Roots stay contained in the pocket while vines climb, flower, and pod entirely in the open space above. Choose compact varieties only. Long vining types will overshoot the support and tangle with everything nearby. Install the trellis from day 1. Peas resent being lifted after they've flopped. The reward: a plant that manufactures new growing space out of thin air, turning height into its own harvesting zone. Number 3. Compact peppers. A short, modest-looking plant can still carry dozens of fruits, which makes compact peppers one of the most efficient crops on this list for the ground space they occupy. The trick: compact only describes the canopy. The roots still need real volume. So this one goes in your largest compartment, soil equivalent to 3 to 5 gallons. Stake it early, before the fruit gets heavy enough to make it lean. Once flowering starts, ease off high nitrogen fertilizer. More leaves doesn't mean more peppers. The payoff: a plant that stays small and tidy on top, while quietly producing far more than its size suggests. Number 2. Compact climbing cucumbers. Cucumbers have a reputation as space hogs, vines traveling for meters across open ground. But the problem was never the vine's length. It was the direction it grew in. Trained onto a trellis, that same vine stops eating your walkway and starts producing straight up into empty air. Install the support while the plant's still small. Guide the stem toward it early. Once the tendrils grab on, the plant takes over the climbing itself. Give it soil equivalent to a 5-gallon pot and harvest fruit frequently, on the smaller side. Let one oversized cucumber sit on the vine, and it slows down the entire plant's future production. This sets up exactly what's coming next. Number 1 takes this same principle, turning a weakness into an advantage, and pushes it further than anything else on this list. Number 1. Everbearing strawberries. Picture it: an entire tower planter draped in white blossoms, clusters of green young fruit, ripe red strawberries spilling over every pocket. This isn't just a productive container garden anymore. It's a living wall you can eat straight off of. Strawberries were built for this. Roots stay shallow and contained. Foliage stays compact, out of the way. And as fruit develops, gravity does the work. Berries hang over the pocket edge, instead of resting on damp soil, staying cleaner, improving airflow, making every ripening berry easy to spot at a glance. Each pocket needs just one plant, 15 to 20 centimeters deep. One detail makes or breaks this crop: planting depth. The crown, where leaves meet roots, has to sit exactly level with the soil surface. Bury it too deep, it rots. Leave it too high, the roots dry out, and the plant struggles for life. And here's what separates this from everything else on the list. Everbearing varieties don't dump one big harvest and quit. They flower and fruit in waves, from late spring into autumn. Plant enough pockets, and your tower doesn't produce once. It produces continuously, all season long. This is why strawberries take the #1 spot, not just because they fit small pockets, because they use the entire tower the way it was meant to be used. Roots contained below, leaves spread at every level, flowers facing outward, ripe fruit hanging exactly where your hand can reach it. From almost no ground space at all, a full multi-level strawberry garden, producing for months. So here's what 20 plants just proved. Gardening was never about how much land you have. It was always about how you use the space you already own. Grow upward instead of outward, and every pocket becomes its own productive zone. One level for herbs, one for fruiting vines, one for leafy greens that bolt in the heat everywhere else. The moment one pocket finishes its job, it's ready for the next crop, which means the tower never stops changing, never stops producing, never runs out of something new to give you. The real lesson isn't how many plants fit into a small footprint. It's how much that footprint can keep giving you, season after season, once you stop thinking in square meters and start thinking in height. The smallest garden around your home might end up the most productive one you've ever grown. So here's my question. Out of all 20 plants, which one would you grow first in your own tower planter? Drop it in the comments. Already tried vertical container growing? Share what worked and what didn't. Your experience might be exactly what gets another gardener their first successful harvest. If this changes how you see your own space, hit like and subscribe to the Green Haven Farm so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next video. May your garden grow greener, taller, and more productive with every season.